In 1997, my family and I all stayed at a cabin in Finse, a small mountain village in Hordaland County, Norway. But only 18 years earlier, director Erwin Kersner used this area to film the outdoor scenes for the famous ice planet Hoth, as featured in The Empire Strikes Back. There's no driving to Finse. The only way in or out is a ride on an over 100-year-old railway, 4 hours from Oslo or 2 hours from Bergen, so it's a pretty good place to hide a rebel base from the Galactic Empire. Finse was originally established as a railway maintenance town, and its map is dotted with only a handful of buildings and local residences. At any given time, there are around 30 people living in the town, and that population is largely composed of hotel staff or railway workers. Finse's biggest structure is the hotel that housed the cast and crew of The Empire Strikes Back in 1979. That hotel, currently named Finse 1222, because it's located 1,222 meters or 4,009 feet above sea level, originally opened during Easter week in 1909. At that time it was simply called Finse Hotel and was a luxury establishment built to cater to the European elite and nobility. Today the hotel serves as a base station for tourists and cross-country skiers. But about once a year, it also hosts a Star Wars event where fans from across the world travel to see the filming locations, cosplay, and hear from speakers who worked on the film back in the day. The glacier, located about 4 miles from the hotel lodge and about 1,800 meters, or 6,000 feet, above sea level, was the main filming location, used mainly for the battle scenes, of course, with clips from sets and miniature effect work filmed in England and Los Angeles interspersed. Most of the crew working on the film in 1979 had no experience shooting in extreme cold weather, where they would sink up to their knees in snow. Amid the near-constant snowstorms, they were separated from friends and family for weeks at a time and worked 15-hour days in the cold. And there was also the chance of getting whiteouts, which is a surface weather condition in a snow-covered area in which no object casts a shadow. The horizon cannot be seen, and only dark objects are discernible. Visibility goes to zero and you can't tell up from down, and nausea and dizziness come on fast. One crew member even had to be shipped back to England after having broken a limb from driving off a cliff with a snowmobile while experiencing a whiteout. The remaining crew worked in special tents and set up a facility in the hotel basement where equipment was stored at -1 degree Celsius to prevent damage caused by moving between indoor and outdoor temperatures. Technology also had to be winterized, and the VistaVision camera that they used to capture images for the special effects team was filled with antifreeze oil and given a special heated hood. A mishap with another snowmobile sent a crate of equipment tumbling down the glacier and nearly destroyed a camera that was sent to Norway by Lucas himself midway through the shoot. Luckily, it lived to film another day. The filming also coincided with the worst winter storm there in 50 years. Harrison Ford had flown from London to Oslo to catch the train to Finse, but at a ski resort 30 miles east of the town, the train was stopped in a blizzard, and the railroad decided to return the train to Oslo. But the filmmakers needed Ford to film his scenes in the morning, so they radioed the train to unload the actor, who then, after 2 taxi rides in the snowstorm, reached another town just 23 miles from Finse. From there, he hitched a ride in the engine compartment of a snow clearance vehicle, the only thing that could move along the tracks in those conditions, and arrived in Finse at midnight. But it was all worth it, because The Empire Strikes Back is arguably the best Star Wars movie, and the opening portion of the movie set on Hoth has a huge part in that. But back in 1997, my 6-year-old self was soon to share in some of the same icy experiences as Luke, Han, and Chewbacca. My family and I arrived at Finse station, having taken the train there from Bergen. It was me, my younger sister, my father, and my mother. The station itself is actually located at the highest elevation of the entire Norwegian railway system, at again 1,222 meters, or 4,009 feet above sea level. Any evidence of the film production had been completely eradicated after almost 2 decades of frost and wind at that point. During the Second World War, the Germans, who were occupying Norway, had attempted to build an aircraft landing strip on top of the Finse glacier. After they actually managed to land an airplane on the glacier, it tried to take off again only to crash and be forever lost to the ages. It's probably still there, somewhere. So if this hostile landscape was capable of swallowing up an entire aircraft, chances of coming across an errant lightsaber forgotten in the snow was rather slim. The Germans also wanted to build a missile launching pad on the glacier. They tried to construct a cable car system from the railway up to the glacier's summit for transportation of supplies, and started filling in the glacier's crevasses with sawdust, but were ultimately thwarted by the weather. During filming in 1979, a local reportedly said, "If you've seen soldiers trying to fill the cracks in your glacier with sawdust, you've seen just about everything. So now, it's an ice planet." The cabin was owned by the tech company my mother worked for at the time, and was loaned out to employees. It was located quite a bit up a hill from the train station and the hotel. From what I remember, everything in the cabin was outdated by at least 10 years. Old radio, old furniture, a tiny old TV with one channel. And I bet a lot of the cabins there did not feature any modern luxuries at all. I was only 6 at the time, so I may be wrong, but I think we stayed there for an Easter weekend. I probably spent the time inside by reading Donald the Duck comics, and my parents probably read some Easter crime. At some point, while or before we were there, the entire cabin snowed down. We spent some hours digging tunnels in the snow, from outside to the window. I can thank my mother for these pictures, as she found and scanned them for me. I think we can always remember more of our childhoods when we have a picture to look back on. I remember that I felt it was weird looking into a cabin from the tunnel I had been digging, and just as weird to see a tunnel when looking out the window. But the day we were leaving was very dramatic. Due to the fact that this was a company cabin, we had to leave it just as we found it. So I think my parents had miscalculated just how long the cleanup process would take. I'm sure it did not help to have a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old stressing them out either. We were starting to get worried that we were not going to catch the train on time, and we didn't know when the next train would be leaving. The weather had also become increasingly worse, and Finse was now in the middle of a snowstorm, much like what the stars and crew of The Empire Strikes Back experienced back in 1979. I remember struggling down the hill, with icy wind and snow whipping up at us. The only way we knew the direction was to go down the hill. The snow obscured our vision beyond a few meters ahead. My father had taken my sister down to the hotel by pulling her on a small sledge down the hill. On the way down, she had complained that she could barely breathe, due to the wind and cold. After leaving her in the care of the receptionists, he hurried back up to help me and my mother down. I don't know how dramatic this whole event actually was, but to my 6-year-old head, this was all very exciting and scary. And the perils were only heightened by the time pressure. The train turned out to be extremely late.
There's a new dance, doing the tauntaun. 3 steps like this, and then fall over.
How can they laugh in this weather?
I like it here. I like it. Snowcats? No, I'm only up here to irritate the crew.
If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share it, and subscribe. Thank you to my Patreon supporters, and thank you for watching. Have a lovely evening.
Harrison Ford is a joy.